Hello Internet, hello friends, it's Kaz, and welcome to a video dedicated to a retrospective of the MMORPG market this year 2024. So before starting this video, I apologize greatly for my slight breathing difficulties that I'm trying to mask in the audio editing. I hope it won't be heard soon, but I can't do beyond my means, unfortunately. Anyway, I wanted to offer you this video that summarizes in a very condensed format what happened during this year 2024 in the MMO market. So you will see there are MMOs. Before starting to talk about the MMOs that made a mark in 2024, feel free to comment right now and tell me which MMOs stood out for you in 2024. Kept in suspense during this year 2024, were there any disappointments, were there any pleasant surprises, and so on. I am very curious to have your comments. Come on. First, a little reminder, the MMOs that disappeared, the dead MMOs, we can talk about Archeage. Yes, Archeage. After years where the game was closed, relaunched, taken over by others, publishers with freshly baked pies, freshly baked paid pies, with subscription, without subscription. The game is finally over, dead, completely closed, and it happened during this year 2024. So for me, it's a big loss, because Archeage was still one of the best MMORPGs on the market, but it was never well sold, never respected by its publishers. Simply put, it's a game that has always been considered a cash cow, always there to extract as much money from its players as possible, with pay-to-win formats and the like. It's a real shame this MMO, he shows so much more respect. Among the cancelled MMOs, it's Blue Protocol, that's for sure. We've been waiting for it for years, constantly delayed. So it will never come, it's over, the development, and its arrival under the name Blue Protocol in the US will never happen. Although at the time, Amazon was supposed to have the keys to release it in the West. And it's over, so Blue Protocol, don't even think about it anymore. It's finished. Now let's talk about games that have disrupted the market, that have managed to make their mark or reinvent themselves. I'm already thinking of New World, which became New World Aeternum, which was really a very nice surprise. Basically it's New World, but reworked to be a bit more dynamic, offering PvE content, more interesting, more scenarios, more stories. And it's especially an MMO that also came out on console, with crossplay between PC and console. This resulted in an incredible number of new players joining, especially console players who couldn't play New World before, as it was a game available only on PC. This has given New World a new boost, and that's great. It is a success for 2024. Among the new features, remember, there was the release of Tron in Liberty. We also talked about it. Tron in Liberty, a free AAA MMO RPG that many players were waiting for. So the game is still popular, despite it must be said, as I've explained since its release, quite a few people have walked away from it. Yes, Tron in Liberty, it is beautiful. Yes, it has a nice polish. Yes, there are activities, there is action, there is a world that is rather detailed, magnificent, etc. But it is, in my opinion, very fast food like, and you quickly get through it. Unfortunately, that's my personal view, you know. But it's still a notable game of this year, 2024. In 2024, Tarisland also came out, another MMORPG even more casual this time, very PvE oriented, which some even call the Chinese World of Warcraft. A game that is also quite beautiful, quite interesting, AA quality, with a lot of content, but even worse than Throne of Liberty. This game is even more of a game where you are assisted and where you don't really have a choice in creating your build, your character, your wolves. In short, that's what I call fast food MMO. It can be interesting for some types of players, but I think if you've been following this channel for years now, you know that we like rather the somewhat old school games, the games where they require a time investment, where the player has the freedom to create their character as they wish, to choose specifics, to choose specialties, to be able to loot everything, loads of kinds of items and not necessarily only things linked to their class and so on. In short, you understand me. We also had some early access that marked 2024, notably Pax Dei that we had covered when it was released. So the first days of Pax Dei, a game that came out with the help of a rather nice trailer. And, well, the reality is there. It is indeed a game with nice basics. We are in a huge open world. A crafting, survival game, very sandbox, but a game where you can quickly go in circles if you do not have guild objectives, alliances and so forth. So it is really a niche game with very few players now, and I clearly think it was released too early and that it might kill it. In other early access we can also note Corepunk, a game I've presented to you many times with this old school experience. So that was really the end of the year 2024. Corepunk, a release that happened a bit tough and difficult. I think there was a moment when for almost a week the servers were down. There you go. A nightmare for new players. Imagine you just bought an MMORPG, you play intensively for 2 weeks, all of a sudden, boom, for 1 week you can't play anymore. It completely cuts off the excitement of the early days, and it's a real shame. Anyway, it's here, and Corepunk does offer something quite interesting. I find that the game is very well constructed. I find that the game offers this old school difficulty, this possibility to show your character a bit as you wish. And it feels good to still have this type of MMORPG coming out in our time. I am going to talk about another early access that did not work at all. It's Brighter Shore. Brighter Shore is created by a former person who also worked for RuneScape. You can completely see it in the gameplay mechanics. So we're dealing with a top view MMORPG with the possibility to do what you want with your character, to level up. It's all the professions, all the crafting and gathering professions and so on. Except this game was released in early access with as little content and no one plays it anymore. Besides the excitement of discovery, no one is really on it anymore. And I don't think it will last long. It's a shame because the game has charm. Among the pleasant surprises, however, in the games we've been hearing about for 4 years, and that finally managed to find a place, it's Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen. Surprisingly, this game Pantheon has been in development for years, with some testing phases. It just arrived on Steam in 2024 in early access, and as the weeks go by, there are more and more players on this game. We're really looking at a game, old school style that tries to somewhat recreate the EverQuest experience, meaning a game where you need to group with a tank, a heal, a support, a DPS to be able to tackle somewhat difficult monsters. We are really at the opposite of the words. Modern game where you can do everything alone. Here is the complete opposite. Everything takes a long time, everything is difficult, and you have to play with friends, people in guilds, and so on. So the game is finding its audience, and that's great. I will of course offer you some gameplay showcases on it soon as I feel a little better. I'm very eager to discover it with you, because despite its somewhat austere and old-fashioned side, I think there's potential. Let's talk about games that have been around for years. Let's talk about WoW with the One Within expansion. It will be the retail version, so with every new expansion it brings back old players who resubscribe to me, who discover the expansion and then leave. So I'm not going to dwell on that. I haven't tested it, I'm not interested. On the other hand, we can note the World of Warcraft Classic 20th anniversary, and yes, there was another fresh start, meaning that new classic servers were launched at the end of the year, 2024, to go from level 0 to 60 on the vanilla version. And then we'll see the progression like we had on other classic servers of the time with Burning Closet, etc. in the following years. And that, I like it. I like that. And I won't hide from you that I have the impression that it's very popular. and that there are a lot of people on the classic servers, and that's a good thing. Let's also talk about Final Fantasy XIV, which offered us the Dawn Trail expansion in 2024, an expansion that received very mixed reviews. Final Fantasy XIV, which is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, the massively multiplayer online role-playing game, I think the most popular in the world in terms of players, almost tied with World of Warcraft, one of the best player versus environment massively multiplayer online games. This game, as the expansions were released, Madden 13 is the one that was the least well received for various reasons. And there you go. I won't talk about it because I haven't done it. I'm saving it for later. But know that it's there and that many players have liked it and others haven't. Finally, let's think about Ezo. It's the online instructor that released the Gold Road expansion, which completely flew under the radar. I feel like no one is talking about Tezo right now. I don't know the current state of Tezo, but maybe I'm in a bubble, but I feel like the game is a little bit moribund. In any case, it might have had a bit more of light around him a few years ago. Guild Wars 2 also, remember, released the extension Gentia Wilds, notably with the option to have your own little housing, your little home that you can modify, that you can decorate. So that was a big novelty in Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2, on the other hand, sometimes I start it up again and I find there are still a lot of people, and the game remains very popular. Among the other MMOs that's March 2024, we can also spare a thought for Once Human. This contemporary science fiction MMO, halfway between sandbox survival craft and the post-apocalyptic combat MMO. Honestly, this free-to-play game is a very good find. This free-to-play game truly deserves the place it has achieved in this year, 2024. It is still very popular, and that's great. I recommend it if you want to switch from the classic MMORPG worlds of dragons and other goblins. You have a really nice option here, especially in a game. Let's also talk about an independent project. It's the so-called release of City of Heroes, with the private server City of Heroes Homecoming. Now, it's a private server, yes, but a completely legal server because it's authorized notably by NCSoft, which is the rights holder of City of Heroes. So for all those who did not have the City of Heroes adventure, it seems to me that this MMORPG closed its doors in 2012. And well, you can, since now 2024, enjoy the City of Heroes Homecoming server for free to be able to replay, relive the adventure of the superhero MMO. Well, it ages. We did a discovery video. It's a bit clunky, it's a bit aging, but nostalgia sometimes creates beautiful things. And the server is still quite popular, and that's good for this game. In a somewhat amusing way, we can also note the revival in 2024 of the game Fallout 76, which can be classified as a light MMO. It is mainly due to the success of the Fallout series available on Amazon Prime. The little nod, 2024 is also a very good year for Fallout 76 thanks to the series that is online on Amazon. Here is what I could say for this little retrospective of MMORPGs in 2024. Feel free to react in the comments. I apologize greatly for the diction difficulties, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you for your thumbs up, shares, subscription. This was Khan.